America just turned 250 years old. Or, I guess if you're watching this late, then it just did. Which is honestly impressive, because for most of these 250 years, we've been making decisions with what can only be described as a hold my beer mentality. Basically, where any rational person would say, maybe we shouldn't, Americans say, nah, I'd win. So in honor of 250 years, I wanted to highlight the 250 best moments of American history. Just kidding, I'm only doing 10, and they're probably not the best moments, but they are moments that I found ridiculous and or epic. Ridiculepic, if you would. I mean, are we surprised I'm bringing this up? My channel is literally Carol Likes Tea. In case you didn't pay attention in history class, the Boston Tea Party was this protest. They use a slogan, not sure if you've heard of it, taxation without representation. Peeved that they were being taxed, the colonists decided to board a British ship in the middle of the night and dump 342 chests of tea into the water. Ironically, they were only depriving themselves of tea, but it's about the message. And that's why I'm only shipping American tea. Also, it's like 76 degrees outside, so you should respect the fact that I'm drinking tea at all. I also feel I should mention that they were disguised as Native Americans to do this protest, which kind of defeats the purpose of the colonists standing up to the British, but luckily the disguises were pretty bad, so they kind of got the message anyway. Andrew Jackson was to be sworn in as Lincoln's vice president. He was feeling a little under the weather. So he decided to do what any sensible American would do at the time and self-medicate by drinking a bottle of whiskey. Instead of just getting a little bit toasty, he gets absolutely hammered, and he delivers probably one of the most infamous inaugural speeches in presidential history, including ramblings about his childhood and getting the names of his cabinet members wrong. A month after his amazing introduction, he became president, proving to all of us that people with alcoholic tendencies belong in office. One unlucky day in Oregon, a dead sperm whale washed ashore. Sperm whales, in case you don't know, are around 50 to 60 feet and over 100,000 pounds. So, safe to say this caused a bit of an inconvenience for them. So after determining that this whale was just way too big to move, they decided, let's blow it up. For some reason they thought that the half-ton of dynamite that they were about to use to blow this whale up would vaporize it. They were wrong. Instead, it began to rain whale chunks onto all of the onlookers. I think the worst part is that the majority of the whale was still intact after this, so they didn't even solve the issue. If you ask me, they should have just kept blowing it up until the problem went away. 'Tis the American way. This is definitely one of the CIA's weirdest missions. For some reason, they thought they could turn a cat into their spy. To fully rig out their spy cat, they implanted a microphone in its ear, a transmitter in its skull, and an antenna going up its tail. The only thing they didn't think about is that cats aren't really keen on taking orders, so instead of Spy Cat recording Soviet conversations, it wandered into traffic and got hit by a car. Aw man, didn't even have another one of its 9 lives to try again. That really bums me out. One of the most ridiculous plans in military history has to be Ghost Army, a ragtag team of artists, sound engineers, and actors banded together to make a fake army that could fool the Germans. They deployed inflatable tanks, fake artillery, dummy aircrafts, and giant speakers that played pre-recorded sounds of an entire army division. Some actors even impersonated high-ranking officials in public. And the crazy thing is, this plan worked. It wasn't just a one-time success, it repeatedly worked to fool the Germans to prepare for attacks that never came. As a Lake Erieer myself, Oliver Hazard Perry is a name I am quite familiar with. I even went to a summer camp that quite literally worshipped this man. But to be honest, he deserves the praise. In the Battle of Lake Erie, his ship gets obliterated by cannon fodder. And instead of waving a white flag, he grabs his own flag with his motto, "Don't give up the ship," climbs into a rowboat, rows through enemy fire, boards another American ship, and takes command, and wins. He dispatched, "We have met our enemy, and they are ours." Which sounds really cool, and I'm sure I'd think he had aura if I understood what that meant. This man is such a specimen. Felt wrong to not put a little spotlight on him. He is shrouded in iconic moments, like when a reporter threw not one but both of his shoes at him at a press conference in Iraq. I mean, come on, Secret Service, you couldn't guess that the second one was coming? And this man is famous for so many beautiful quotes.
We must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive. Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we. I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully. The earliest question asked, how is our children learning? As yesterday's positive report card shows, children do learn.
Before officially being president, he vomited on the Japanese prime minister. That's pretty Ohio gross, Saimasu. He was probably all like, "Itayakimasu," completely losing his appetite for udon. Okay, I'm done now. Me so sorry. Learned about this one as a child watching Comedy Central's Drunk History. That show was epic. And so was this moment. For some reason in Boston, they had a storage container that had over 2 million gallons of molasses in it. Which, if you don't know what molasses is, who does? All I know is that when you combine it with sugar, it makes brown sugar. But anyways, one day this container bursts and floods the streets with syrup, up to 25 feet high at some points. And 21 people died that day. That's a crazy way to go about death by syrup. Sounds like a Canadian suicide method. Out of all the presidents, Teddy was the D1 aura farmer. His most iconic moment was probably when he got shot in the chest in the middle of a speech and continued on for 85 minutes before seeking any medical attention. His aura is crazy. And then to cement an epic legacy, he went on to start a chain of preserving nature via establishing national parks. Thanks, Teddy. Yet another president who was just deeply silly. Lyndon B. Johnson loved to startle guests by driving his amphibious car straight into a lake while pretending that the brakes were failing. Like, can you imagine actually being in that situation, though? The president taking you on a drive and then barrels straight towards water, all while telling you that his brakes were failing? And that car looks like it would sink so fast. I'm saving the most peak for last, of course. On September 11, 2001, the passengers of United Airlines Flight 93 had already heard through phone calls that hijacked planes were being used for weapons. Realizing what was likely planned for their own flight, the passengers decided to fight back. Before leading the charge to the cockpit, Todd Beamer left one final message to the phone operator: "Let's roll." The passengers successfully disrupted the hijackers' plans, and instead of reaching its intended target, their flight crashed in a random field in Pennsylvania. On a real note, hearing this story just fills me with immense patriotism. I think it's just the calmness of the phrase "let's roll" before accepting heroic fate. For 250 years, America has been a country built by immigrants, dreamers, inventors, explorers, soldiers, workers, artists, weirdos, lunatics, and at least a few people who should not have been trusted with the level of confidence that they were. And yet somehow, it just works. Happy birthday, America. And happy birthday to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing. Apparently this channel in America now share B-Day, so you should stick around and see if either of us last another year.
If it wasn't obvious, this video was intended to be posted on the actual 4th of July, but I ran into some issues of the not wanting my family to see me film variety, so that's why there's a bit of a delay. However, it is my first video, so if you enjoyed, they're only getting better from here. But thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you do stick around.